Hello, this is Elsa Moreno, and I am here to give you an introduction to watersheds. First of all, what are they? According to the National Geographic Society, a watershed is an area of land that drains or sheds water from the highest point to the lowest point. Let's take a closer look at our model. This is a watershed. In this example, the highest points are the mountains, and the lowest point is the ocean. As you can see, the water falls on the land from rain and snow and begins trickling downhill from the headwaters as runoff drains into a network of streams called tributaries. These tributary streams then flow into larger bodies of water, such as lakes or rivers. Riparian areas are important features of the watershed. This is the area of land immediately surrounding a water body. Plants and trees in the riparian area function as a buffer that provides clean water by filtering runoff, shade to keep the water cool, habitat for birds, fish, and other wildlife, and reduces stream bank erosion by holding soil in place. Another important feature are wetlands. Wetlands are areas of land that stay wet longer than other areas in the watershed. Plants that grow there are adapted to wet conditions. Wetlands help slow down the flow of water and recharge the groundwater supply. They provide filtering of the water as well as very important fish and wildlife habitat. The water keeps flowing through watersheds and ultimately reaches the ocean. The places where fresh water from the rivers mix with the salt water from the ocean are called estuaries. The water that flows through all these bodies of water is called surface water. But did you know that water also flows underground? This is possible when some of the surface water infiltrates into the ground, becoming groundwater. Large underground reservoirs of groundwater are called aquifers. A healthy watershed acts like a sponge that absorbs water, stores it, and then slowly releases it from the soil during the dry season. Groundwater is what provides water for wells and keeps our streams and rivers flowing during droughts. Okay, so we just discussed some of the key aspects of a watershed. But why are they important? Well, easy enough. We all live in a watershed. No matter what state or country you live in, we're all connected through watersheds. Healthy watersheds provide important natural functions called ecosystem services that we all need to survive. Some examples of ecosystem services are things like the filtering and storage of groundwater, the way that trees and other plants clean our air and provide oxygen for us to breathe, healthy soil for our crops, and last but not least, climate regulation. Everything we use in our daily lives comes from a watershed somewhere. Natural resources such as water, soil and minerals, forest and wood products, fish and wildlife, clean air, and even sources of electricity such as hydropower and fossil fuels all come from watersheds. And how we manage these natural resources has an effect on watershed health. As we learned before, a watershed drains from the highest point to the lowest point on the landscape. Therefore, everything we do upstream has a significant effect downstream. Over time, we have been modifying our watersheds to satisfy our human needs. We have developed cities, roads, houses, factories, farms, among many other infrastructure. We have also introduced new equipment such as cars, tractors, ships, and heavy equipment. They all play important roles in our society. However, these activities have been changing the way water flows through our watershed. For example, the built environment, which is how we call any road or building, acts like a barrier that prevents storm water from seeping into the ground. This increases the risk of flooding on the surface and can greatly reduce our groundwater supply. We have also changed our watersheds by introducing invasive species, which can be any bacteria, fungus, insect, plant, or animal. These invasive species are known for their ability to reproduce in great amounts to the point where they outcompete the native species of our watershed. With all these activities happening, we have also introduced many pollutants into our watershed. Let's take a closer look at each of these activities. Let's start with factories. They are the places where we get most of the products that we cannot easily make at home. They sure make our lives easier by providing us with products like paper, paint, clothing, etc. However, many of these factories emit greenhouse gases that can turn into acid rain. Most of them also generate industrial waste, and if it's not properly managed, it can easily end up in the nearest body of water, causing a lot of damage to the fish, wildlife, and even the humans who live nearby or downstream. Waste from factories is supposed to be managed as point source pollution, regulated through water quality permit programs. Agriculture is also a really important activity because that's where all of our food comes from. Unfortunately, a lot of pollutants, such as the overuse of pesticides and fertilizers, animal waste, soil erosion, and oil leaks are often generated through this activity, and when it rains, it all washes away to the nearest body of water. When water has an excessive amount of nutrients, an overgrowth of algae can occur, which rapidly consumes most of the oxygen in the water, killing fish and other aquatic life. Fortunately, we now know there are many ways to continue agricultural operations that are beneficial to the watershed. For example, by maintaining healthy riparian areas, protecting water quality, restoring wetlands where crops don't grow well, and many other farm practices. Most of the pollutants that we generate at home come from the improper disposal of hazardous waste such as motor oil, kitchen oil, and cleaning products. Some people tend to dispose of these chemicals down the storm drain, thinking that this is the easiest way to do it. However, this can be very harmful to the quality of our water because storm drains are often directly connected to a river, lake, or even the ocean. Whatever you pour down the drain stays exactly as it is, and there's no way to clean the water before it reaches its destination. Duct waste is also a pollutant, and you must always pick it up. When left in the ground, this waste washes into the nearest storm drain, which again reaches the nearest body of water. Duct waste can contain harmful bacteria and parasites, which make water unsafe for swimming or drinking. Similar to other animal waste, duct waste encourages the overgrowth of algae. And lastly, adding too much pesticide into our front yard plants increases the risk of polluting our waterways. When we're driving, some of the ways we pollute our waterways is by throwing litter out the window and through unexpected car leaks. We may think that they will remain on land for a while. However, the wind and the rain will eventually carry them into the nearest body of water. In construction and anywhere else, loose soil is considered a pollutant because it can easily be washed into the nearest storm drain, which then reaches the nearest body of water. Too much soil or sediment in the water can degrade the quality of water and clog the gills of fish. Materials and liquids such as oil, diesel, and fresh concrete can also cause harmful effects when they are accidentally spilled and reach our waterways. Every construction site must always have a dumpster where all the debris or trash can be collected so that it can later be properly disposed of or recycled. Construction professionals have realized that all of these pollutants are very harmful to our waterways. Therefore, every construction site must follow erosion control measures such as installing silt fences and straw wattles around storm drains. Urban developers have also realized that impervious surfaces or surfaces that do not allow water to pass through, such as asphalt, concrete, and rooftops, can drastically reduce our groundwater supply and cause excess flooding downstream. Thus, they have found new ways to allow water to sift through the soil and reduce the excess stormwater runoff by incorporating rain gardens and other stormwater features into the urban environment. With these innovations, stormwater runoff can finally incorporate into the soil where it is filtered, stored, and slowly released, which helps recharge the groundwater supply. Many organizations and agencies that work with natural resources are always looking for ways to keep our watersheds healthy. As individuals, we can also play an important role in keeping our watersheds healthy, and the actions we take to help these natural systems is called stewardship. Some examples of simple but very impactful activities we can do as environmental stewards are the following. Number 1. Conserve water by taking shorter showers or turning off the faucet when you're not using it. Number 2. Never pour chemicals down the drain. Always contact your local waste management facility so that they can help you to dispose of them properly. Number 3. Now we know all the harmful effects that dog poop has on our waterways and even our own health, so make sure to always pick up after your dog. Number 4. Avoid using too much pesticide or fertilizers in your garden. You may even consider starting your own compost at home. Number 5. Make sure to recycle correctly by disposing your trash in the places where it actually belongs. And lastly, try walking or biking a little more. These are some of the most sustainable ways of transportation and can even allow you to connect more with your watershed.